We are graphing, but we're graphing from standard form. So y equals mx plus b is what y'all are used to graphing with. That's what the easiest thing to graph with. But we're going to graph from standard form. So we're going to talk about some things that help us when we're graphing from standard form without solving for y. Okay, so knowing that, what do we know about x-intercepts?
They cross the x-axis.
They touch the x-axis, cross the x-axis, cross/touch x-axis. The big thing we know too is that it's where y equals 0. That's the important thing to know. Okay, y-intercepts cross/touch the y-axis, and it's where x equals 0. Now, what do we remember about slope? And again, this is from standard form. What did we learn yesterday about slope from standard form? It's your opposite of a over b. So standard form slope is opposite of a over b, opposite of a over exact b. Okay, these are the things that we're using today when we're graphing. A lot of times we call this the cover-up method. I don't really cover up, I actually use it to solve. So you'll see what I'm saying in just a second. So we have a standard form equation. And we need to find, when we graph a graph, we need to know a point and we need to know a slope. Yes?
Yes.
Doesn't matter which point we know.
No.
No, but 0 is super simple to plug into an equation, yes? Because when you plug in 0 and it's multiplying, doesn't it just cancel?
Yes.
Yes. So we can find intercepts using x and y equals 0 and then our slope. So first off, I always find my slope first. We know that this is my a, and if there's no number I could put a 1, and this is my b. What's opposite of 2? Over exact b. 1. So there's my slope. Now, I want my slope to be a fraction because I could technically rewrite this as just -2, right? But when I'm graphing, y'all, you want your slope to be a fraction. Okay, another thing to remember about slope is its rise over run, meaning this is your up and down number on top. If you go up when it's positive, down when it's negative. Your run is your side to side. Right is positive, left is negative. Okay, so knowing that, now we have to find a point. So I'm going to help you find both of our intercepts and kind of show you that you only need one, but we're going to find both. So to find my x-intercept, what do I know about x-intercept? What equals 0? Y. So I'm going to plug in y equals 0. So I'm going to rewrite my equation to x plus 0 equals 5. Well, 0, doesn't that just kind of cancel? And now I have 2x equals 5 because 2x plus 0 is just 2x, correct? So now I would divide by 2, and I get x equals either a decimal or a fraction. Doesn't matter how I write it. Can I plot a decimal or a fraction? No, so this one doesn't help me. So let's find my y-intercept. That's where x equals 0. So I'm going to rewrite it to parentheses 0 plus y equals 5. Well, what's 2 times 0, y'all? So this goes away, and what does it tell me?
Y equals 5.
So my y-intercept is what?
5.
5. So on my y-axis, I'm going to put a point at 5. Remember, I only need one point and my slope. Do I have my slope? Yeah. It's -2 over 1. So what am I going to do from this point?
Go backwards 2.
No.
Up 1.
Top number is up or down. So am I going to go up or down?
Down.
And positive 1 tells me to go right 1. So from this point, I'm going to go down 1, 2 over 1. 1, 2 over 1. 1, 2 over 1. Now, last period, I had a couple people that would just like sketch the line and then plot some random points that look like they were on the line. Is that what you should be doing?
No.
No. Okay. you're plotting your points and then drawing your line, yes? If you're like me and you're a crazy person and you want a straight line, your ID badge does a really good job. But if you don't care, I don't care. Any questions with that? Now we have a table. We can go ahead and pick some points from our table. So 0, 5 was our first point. We can do 1, 3. And we could do 2, 1. Any questions with that? Okay, so let's try another one. Okay, this one has a little more to it. Now, let's find our slope first, like we always do. What's the opposite of A? Positive 5 over exact B. 3. So we have positive 5 over 3 this time. Which, positive 5 tells me I'm going to do what? Up 5. Positive 3 tells me I'm going to do what? Right 3. Okay, so no, we know our slope, but we don't have a point to start plotting that slope. Okay, so we have to find a point. Now, last time we had a fraction and a regular, like a good number, right, that we could plot. That might happen a lot. So what you can ask yourself is, does 5 go into 5?
Yes.
Yeah, but does 3 go into 5?
No.
Pretty? No, so we don't want to find that one. We want to find this one. So we want to cancel the number that doesn't go into it. Now, if you don't think of it this way, that's fine. You might have to do it twice. But if you want to look into it, I know 5 goes into 5, so I'm going to plug in y as 0. When is y 0? For which intercept? X. So I'm looking for my x-intercept. So I'm going to rewrite my equation, negative 5x plus 3 times 0 equals 5. Well, 3 times 0 is 0, so this goes away. And how do I solve that? Divide by negative 5. Because remember, this is multiplying when there's no symbol in the middle. Couldn't think of the word. Okay, this cancels, and I get x equals what? Negative 1. So now I got, last time I plotted a y-intercept, this time I'm plotting an x-intercept. So I'm going to look at my x-axis, and I'm going to put a point at negative 1. And now I'm following my slope. So rise 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. Now it doesn't happen again, but what can I do when I can only plot up and over? Yeah, you can do backwards, backwards. So wouldn't that be negative 5, negative 3?
Yes.
Well, 2 negatives makes a. So it's still plotting a positive slope. So I can do a wound down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. And it followed the pattern, and those are the only points I can put on there. Now, I'm not asking you to like plot a billion points, especially for like some of our smaller number slopes, but I do need more than like 2 points. Now this one only fit 3, so obviously you could only plot 3, but on that one I want more than 3 because you could plot more than 3. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Plot as many points as you can. So again, we're going to do our table. Negative 4, negative 5. This is negative 1, 0. And this is 2, 5. I'm not going to be upset if you don't, but proper is in order. Okay, so that's the main parts of graphing from standard form. We're going to talk about the 2 special cases as well. Okay, we know, what do we notice about this equation? It's just y equals negative 2. Okay, there's no x value, meaning it's a special case. Not x value, but there's no x, meaning it's a special case. When you only have one letter, we know it's a special case, and this is HOI because it's a y equals equation only. So just a reminder of what HOI stands for. It's horizontal, 0 slope, y equals, and then I always say no x equation. So knowing that, I know that y is negative 2. So where's y negative 2? Well, here. And I'm drawing what kind of line?
Horizontal.
And just a reminder, horizontal is side to side.
The way that my old teacher used to tell us to remember it, like a horizon.
Yes. Okay, so then I just need 3 points. Doesn't matter which 3. So I have -1, -2. I have 0, -2. And then I have +1, -2. And what do you notice about the y's? They're all -2. What did my equation say? Y equals -2. And it did every single time. Any questions with that? Okay, so now let's talk about vertical lines. So this says graph the linear equation x equals -2, which is a Vux equation. So it's vertical, undefined, x equals no y equation. Now, this is the one that you cannot type in your calculator. Okay, so even if you wanted to, you can't. So I know that on my x-axis, I'm going to look for the number -2, which is right here, and I'm drawing a vertical line. So I have -2, -1, -2, 0, and -2, +1. Those are just the 3 points I picked. You could have picked any point. And what do we notice about x? They're all -2. And that's what my equation was. Any questions with those two special cases? We like those. Those are quick and simple to graph. Okay, last but not least, we're going to talk about plugging in a table without a calculator, because it's in standard form. Even if we used a calculator, you would have to solve for y to plug this in. Okay, but we're going to talk about just practicing kind of what we did on the front. So first things first, we want to plug in x is -2 because we need to find the y. So if I'm looking for x is -2, I'm going to rewrite my equation, -2 minus 2y equals 10. So this was my x, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Well, do I need the parentheses on this one? Is there anything in front? No, so I can ignore the parentheses. You don't have to rewrite it if you don't want to, but it makes more sense to my brain. Now, what do I need to get rid of first? The number without the y or the number with the y? Without, actually, because we have to get that y by itself so we can divide. So how do I get rid of this -2 when I'm adding or subtracting it? I'm going to do +2. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other, and I get -2y equals 12. Now, how do I get rid of the number next to my y?
Divide by -2.
I'm going to divide because this is touching. There's no number in the there's no symbol in the middle, so I'm dividing. And what's 12 divided by -2? So I know that this point is -6. Now the next two are simpler because there are intercepts, and it's simpler to plug those in. So on this one, now I'm plugging in x is 0. So I'm going to do 0 minus 2y equals 10. And remember, that was me replacing x. Well, 0 cancels. 0 minus 2y is just -2y, right? So now what do I do? Divide by -2. This is why when we're graphing, we solve for intercepts, because wasn't that way simpler than having to get rid of something? Yes. So we get y equals -5. Okay, and last but not least, we want to find y is 5, so x minus 2, or y is 0, sorry. I was looking at the number I just wrote. Well, what's -2 times 0? So that goes away, and what does x equal?
10.
Didn't even have to do any math. Okay, I'm going to do one of your practice problems with you. Please do not judge me for the numbering. That's in my bad somewhere. I don't know what happened to me. It starts with number 9, but that's actually number 1. Okay, so we're going to do number 9 and 1 together. I don't know what I did, honestly. Okay, so what I want to reiterate to help you out is that you're trying to find which number goes into 8. Does 4 go into 8?
Yes.
Does 3 go into 8?
No.
So we want to cancel the 3. So what am I going to plug in?
0 for y.
0 for y. So I'm plugging in y equals 0, which is what intercept?
X.
It's always the opposite, so x-intercept. So I have -4x plus 3, and instead of y, I'm going to put 0 equals 8. Well, what's 3 times 0? 0. So that goes away, and how do I solve this? Divide by negative 4. And what's 8 divided by negative 4? So on my x-axis, I'm going to put a point at negative 2. Now what do I need to find? The slope. I don't need to find my y-intercept because remember, you only need 1 point. You could look for it. It's not going to hurt you. But this one would actually be a decimal, so you really don't need it. But we need slope. So this is a, b. What's the opposite of a?
4.
Positive 4 over exact b. So I'm going to rise 4, run 3. And then I can go down 4, backwards 1, 2, 3. So I plotted 4 points. And there's my line. Any questions with what you're doing? Okay, so this is what you're working on.